So I am going to take you guys through the process of doing fixed timed AI. So AI, first off, let's just start with the basics, means artificial insemination. A lot of people use this to breed their cattle. Maybe they want to bring better genetics into their herd. Maybe they don't have a bull. Maybe they don't have the capacity to have a bull. They just want 1 cow or 2 cows, or there's a whole variety of reasons why a small farmer all the way up to a huge operation would use AI. We are doing it here on our farm to bring better genetics into our herd. We want some good genetics of South Pole, and if you're interested in what in the world is a South Pole, we've got videos on that I will link here. But also Wagyu, that's kind of a new thing. It's not really new, but it's kind of come to people's attention recently, and that's something people are interested in the beef world, and like chefs and just people that are into good food. Wagyu is something that people are looking for, so we want to bring that in. Not necessarily do we want to go buy a top of the line South Pole bull or Wagyu bull. We couldn't afford that, but we can afford some straws of semen to AI our cows. So that's what we're doing. And we are doing what's called fixed timed. These are first time heifers. There's a group of 23 of them. So this is a multiple step process. You can catch your cows in natural heat, but that takes some doing. That takes some watching, and then being available really basically at any time to AI them after you catch them in heat. Once you catch them, about 12 hours later, you breed them. That's just not practical for a lot of people. It's not practical for us doing this large group like this, so we are doing the fixed timed, which basically means we are putting them into heat, syncing up their cycles, so we can do this all at one time. So today is step 1. We've got them up. We're inserting, these are called CIDRs, C-I-D-R. You can tell I don't want to touch my face. There's a reason for that. All of this that I'm doing today involves hormones. You are syncing up their cycle, just like a woman that takes some sort of hormone therapy. That's basically what we're doing today. We're syncing their cycles up. So this is an insert. This is progesterone. This is going to stay in 7 days. So today we're just inserting these. I'm going to show you that, and we're giving them a shot of a GnRH, and then next week we'll give them a shot of something else. So those are some terms you'll want to familiarize yourself with, and I may do a video at some point on specifically all these different pieces and what they mean, but you just need to know the first step is the CIDR and a shot. So let's get busy. So the vaginal tract of a cow is not necessarily a sterile place, but it's not somewhere you want to just introduce unnecessary bacteria either. So we are going to dip this down in a disinfectant solution. It's called chlorhexidine. It's mixed with water. You can see I've got my CIDR gun down in here as well. It's only going to go in probably about that far, but you can see I've gotten it kind of dirty. You can go ahead and clean that off too, but mainly you want it cleaned down here that you're going to be inserting. You're going to put this CIDR in just like this with this tail pointing down. The reason you want it pointing down is because when it inserts, you want it pointing down on the cow. If it's sticking up, cows are curious, especially these are heifers. They could go up and pull this out of each other. So you want it kind of pointing down, kind of hidden down there, kind of like a tail. So anyway, you're going to insert it like that. Wear gloves. Again, you're dealing with hormones. It can mess with a woman's hormones if you're not careful. Poke this down in here until just the tip is sticking out, just like that. It's gonna be just like this with the tail, just like that. And then we're gonna put a little bit of lubricant here on the end to make this slide in easier. So again, this is gonna stay in 7 days. We're gonna go into the vaginal tract. We're gonna go in at an upward angle because we don't wanna poke this in her bladder or something. So if you will just go in at an upward angle, you can quickly level it off just like this when you get inside. You're gonna go in until you feel it almost some resistance where it's gonna wanna stop. That's when you went far enough. You're gonna pull these handles right here. It's gonna eject this out the end, and those are gonna spread back out. And then you're gonna have to basically whip this out really quickly, or you're gonna pull the whole thing out. So it's a pretty fast motion. Some of them, the resistance is further than others. You can see how far that went in. I am putting it in there right now. It's probably spread out, and then I'm gonna pull it out really, really quickly. And you can see it stayed in. You can see the tail down there is almost hidden. That's perfect. And we're done with that step. When you get done with that, drop this. This is called a CIDR gun. Drop it back in your bucket of disinfectant and you're ready to give your shot. The one I'm using today is called Cisterellin. You will need to have a vet that you get this from, maybe a vet relationship at the very least that you use on a regular basis that will help you get these meds. So every one of these, this is not based on weight, this is just based on head. You are giving 2 milliliters deep in the muscle. So you want to use at least a 1.5 inch needle to get through the skin and the fat into the muscle. That's very important. Hey y'all, so it is pouring rain actually. We are heading over to the cows. We're about to do round 2 of this AI process. So we have to pull the CIDRs out. The CIDRs can actually be used for 14 days. So you can actually use these if you're doing the 7-day cycle like I am. You can actually pull these out and use them again. So a little trick my instructor taught me was pull them out and tie a knot in the tail. And that way, when you store them, you know those have been used, but you can use them. You can do this whole cycle again without buying more CIDRs. So we're gonna pull those out today. I'm just gonna toss them in a bucket today while we're over here. I'll have to kind of wash them off, and then I will be storing those. I'll tell you all about that later. So I also have to give another shot today. I'm gonna be using Estromate today. That is actually gonna sync up their heat cycles and actually put them into heat. So once we do this, we have to AI in a couple days at a certain hour. Actually, we have to start. So this step is pretty crucial to think of the next step, making sure you have enough daylight hours 2 days from now. So that's why we're out here pretty early getting this done. And it's pouring rain. And once you start this process, you have no control over the weather. So we don't have a choice at this point. We're gonna have to work in the rain. Thankfully, it looks cold, but it looks clear 2 days from now. So I'll take it because this step is pretty quick as opposed to the next one. So let's get going. We got the whole crew.
Dressed for success.
Em, you ready for this?
No.
No?
No.
Saturday morning early.
Yep.
Life of a farmer.
First day of Christmas break too.
And Lane. How you feeling, Lane?
Wet.
Wet?
Already?
This is gonna be fun. Okay, at least step 1 went well. Maybe that's an indication today is gonna be a good day. All right, y'all, so this video has covered several days at this point, and yesterday was the big day. It was the day to actually AI the heifers, and it started out good. We had the camera over here, we were set up. We could start at noon because after the last step you guys saw where I pulled the CIDRs out and gave the shot of prostaglandin, you're supposed to wait 54 plus or minus 2 hours. So what that works out to is 2 full days, 48 hours, plus 4 hours, you need to start AIing so that you have that 4-hour window, if that makes sense. If it's 54 plus or minus 2 hours, you have hour 52 to 56 that's your optimal window to AI. So that is why we got out here a couple days ago in the rain at 8 o'clock in the morning. We were started by 8 so that on 2 days later we could start at noon, and we would have about 4 or 5 hours until dark to get it done. So this is my first time to AI since I took my class, and my class was super good. I learned a lot. I felt really confident that I can really do this. But yesterday, the first one I started on, and these are all virgin heifers, never been exposed to a bull, never, and you call a cow a heifer until they've had their second calf, and then they become called a cow. These have never had a calf at all. They're virgin heifers, so they're very small, very tight inside and everything. And the first one I tried to do, I couldn't do it. I thought, oh man, oh no. And I knew what I was doing. It's just everything is so small. You're trying to fit an AI gun through a cervix that's very tiny. Sorry, Ben is getting up some cows in the background. But after that, bam, 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 I was able to do about 4 in a row. And I was like, okay, I'm in a groove. Got my confidence back. This is going well. And then I hit a wall again. My arm was so tired. I could hardly make it do what I wanted it to do. That wasn't something I'd taken into consideration when I thought, yeah, we can AI 23 heifers in one afternoon. That was my first mistake. That was way too much for my first time, and it was heifers. And so we wound up calling my instructor and saying, you know what, just let us pay you, please come help us. They came to our rescue. They helped us finish it up. We got them all AI'd. We got a very small clip I'll put in right here. But we were not able to do them all ourselves. I felt pretty much like a failure, but Ben was so nice, and the kids, they were so encouraging. They were like, you can do this. And even when my instructor came over, who's also neighbors down the road, they were like, you know what, this was not a great idea for your first set. You need to try again on some cows. It'll be much easier. This was even a little difficult for us, which they can do literally like several hundred in an afternoon. So we got it done, needless to say, and I want to give them a shout out, and then I'm going to show you what we did yesterday. They are RCK Genetics, and they're here locally to us. They're actually in Romance, Arkansas. That's where I took my class, and there was people from multiple states in my class. So if you're looking for a good class on reproduction of cows, how to AI, all kinds of different reproductive services, you just need to go check them out. They have a website, and I'm going to link that below. I'm getting nothing for telling you that. I always want to tell you that because to tell you it's literally my opinion. I'm not trying to sell you something. It's just they're really good people, and they've taught me a lot and helped us out a lot. But I want to get to what we did yesterday. I'm not going to reenact it because I mean, y'all aren't dumb. I'm not going to pretend like I'm doing something. I'm just going to walk you through what we did and what the last step of this was. And that, folks, is just kind of an indication of how our last couple days has went. Tell them what it is.
You cannot AI this one. It's a male.
You get to go. You get to go, buddy.
So all we do here, we've got a few panels set up with a gate that we can run them right back into the corral. That way if we miss anybody, we want to save one or whatever, we can run them right back in there. So.
And that's a good tip because I did have trouble yesterday and had to divert some back into the corral to wait on help. So you might want a system to set up to get them back in the holding pens, just because you never know when you're going to need to do that. To do anything like this, you're pretty much going to have a head gate. You're not going to be able to do this just in a chute with no head gate. I mean, there probably is someone who has in the history of cows, but it's just a lot safer if you catch their head and you know they're not going to go anywhere and back up on you. Second thing is, and this on our tartar system when we got it, that we were like, we have to have that, is a vet cage. That's what this is right here. You can see her head is caught. I can open this from both sides. And see, there's actually a cow right behind this door right now, that if that's not there, it's gonna wanna come up behind you. This gives you a safe place to be. And then Ben, if you'll go around, he can open up this right here. I hope y'all can see that, is the back of the chute. So he can actually open that because she's secure with her head caught. I've got this vet cage open. Now he has opened this up and I can get right back in here where I need to work.
A head chute is pretty much a must, or a head gate, but a squeeze chute makes life so much more safer, because when you just got one size alleyway or one size chute, they can sit there and flop back and forth. But with a squeeze chute, you're not actually putting pressure on her, squeezing her. I'm just making that narrower so she can't flop back and forth, thus making it safer in there.
And you guys can see she's still moving her head around up and down. She can move a little bit. You don't want it so tight that you're putting them in pain. They will actually choke themselves out and they can die from it. But if a good chute is set up right, like this one is, the way we have it set, we could not squeeze her too tight, but just make sure your setup is, in other words, set up correctly. So yesterday when we got over here and it was time to work, the first thing first is get all your supplies set up, which I did. I brought them with me. I parked my truck and I was working off the back of my truck like it was a table. It was working fantastic. That was not the problem. But you are gonna need a tank to store your semen in. Your semen is gonna arrive in the mail in what they call a shipper. And that's a small semen tank that holds liquid nitrogen, but is not meant to hold for a long time. You can time it correctly if you like set everything and the mail runs right on time, and your like delivery service is really reliable. If you're ready to AI when it arrives, they're gonna come back and pick it up in just a couple days. You could time it to where you never had to have your own semen tank, but that's gonna be difficult. So we have our own. I transferred that over to it. I'm gonna show you that now because it's back in the garage and I didn't want to bring it back over here just for a demonstration. So this is a semen tank. It's got liquid nitrogen. You have to keep straws of semen very, very, very cold to be stored. And so this actually pulls out and then you raise them up. This one is actually the one that has our good semen in it. So I'm not gonna pull that up, but I'm gonna pull this up just to demonstrate to you all. So you pull this up. You don't wanna pull this above the frost line. So you can see down in there, that would have these down in it, and you can see this has a tab on it that tells all the info about the bull. That would be down in this little canister like so. You would use some long tweezers that come with any kind of AI kit. You would reach down in there and pull out your straw of semen. And I believe this is called a cane, and this holds generally about 10 straws. These were shorter, so there was 5 in this top section and 5 in the bottom. But again, you would keep this down in here below the frost line. You would use tweezers to reach in there and get it, and just so you don't compromise the rest of the semen that you are leaving in there. So a couple things about your semen tank when you're transporting it. You want to carry it flat. You don't want to tilt it off to one side. Don't carry it with one handle where it's kind of dangling off. Even if it takes 2 people, you can carry it by yourself, but just make sure you keep it stable and flat. Don't let it tip over on the back of your truck. Strap it in with the seatbelt. Strap it in with straps in the back or whatever, but do not let it tip over. That's a recipe for disaster. So we had that over here yesterday. I've already showed you that. And these were down in it. I showed you that a minute ago. These had the actual straws of semen in it. So first thing we did yesterday is we would pull these up. You don't want to pull them above the frost line. We've already addressed that. We had some tweezers. We would pull just one straw out at a time. This right here has a plug-in. There's some of them that'll plug into your vehicle. This one actually plugs into the wall. We had a little power box we used. It will heat up and it will keep water inside of this at 95 degrees. And you can see I've got a thermometer in there. 95 degrees is what you want these straws of semen to thaw out to. Now you only want to put enough in that 95 degree water that you can use within 15 minutes. So for me, it was one at a time because it was taking me a while. If you're good at this, you're gonna want your next several already in there. They need to be in that 95 degree water for 45 seconds at least. And then, like I said, up to 15 minutes. So don't just pile a bunch in there thinking it's gonna go great, because it may not like it didn't for me. So once you're ready, you're gonna take your straw of semen out. Very, very important, you're gonna dry it off with a napkin or a paper towel. You're gonna need plenty of napkins and paper towels because you're gonna use them. And water is toxic to semen, so you do not want to get water and semen mixed. You don't want to put this up in the cow and with water, you're just doing no good. So you're gonna pull this back. All these AI guns are different, but they have the same general principle. You're gonna pull this plunger back. You're gonna load this straw. Now this straw is down in here because this is called a sheath. This is what it looks like once you have completed the process. But just imagine this straw is this long, because that's how long it is in there. It's got all these numbers on it telling you which bull you're breeding and all of that. A lot of people will keep these because this has all your vital information about who you bred that cow to. So you're gonna put the straw down in this AI gun, okay? So it's only gonna be about that long. It's gonna go down in there with the tip sticking out. It's sealed on both ends. You're gonna need to take some scissors, or there's some special clippers, but scissors will work. You can clip the end off, but you wanna keep this gun parallel to the ground at that point because your semen is open. You're gonna take this sheath. This is this long thing, okay? It's just gonna be hollow at that point. This is called a Brazilian sheath because the tip on it is small and it goes through heifers a lot easier than a bigger one. You're gonna feed this over on top of that straw. This one's kind of dirty, so it's given a little resistance. It's gonna go down in here and it's gonna lock in place. It just snapped in place, okay? So now you do not wanna push this in because you're gonna be expelling your semen if you do. Now, at this point, you're ready to go breed the cow. At this point, I probably already had my glove on, and that's gonna depend on which arm you breed with. I am right-handed, but I like to go in the cow with my left arm. It's just how I feel comfortable. You'll figure it out. One way will feel good, and one way will be like, oh no, that's totally wrong. So I had my gloves on, and then this hand, I'm just gonna be holding the AI gun with, but I went ahead part of the time, I'm gonna be honest, and wore a glove on this hand. Part of the time I was like, forget it, let's just go with it, because I was getting frustrated. But anyway, I'm ready now to go the cow. Put some lubricant on this hand because this is the hand going in the cow. So I'm actually gonna stand out here today so y'all can see better. Yesterday I was in the vet cage, I was in here with the cow. Like I said, her head is restrained, I was totally safe. There was people over on that side. If for some reason something went wonky, they could help me get out really quickly. But I'm gonna stand out here for educational purposes. So this hand is got lubricant on it, and this is the hand, it is going in the rectum. That may seem like a really dumb thing to wonder about to people that know what they're doing, but that I would guarantee you is about the most asked question. The most questioned thing about breeding cows, preg checking cows, is you're gonna go in the rectum? What? But you don't stick your hand in the vaginal tract of the cow unless you absolutely have to. You can go in the rectum, you can feel everything because there's just a thin membrane between both tracts. So you're going in the rectum with this hand, and you are gonna feel around and you're gonna find the cervix. That's a whole nother video on how to do that. It's easy once you've had some training, but if not, it's like looking for a drop in the ocean. So that's why I would encourage you to take a class if you're interested in doing this. So you find the cervix, you've got it in your hand. This gun goes in the vaginal tract. You are gonna take some napkins at that point. I had people helping me do it. I've seen the guys that are really good at it, they do all this themselves. Take some napkins and wipe off the vulva. And then you're gonna put this in, and you're gonna go up so you don't go in the bladder, and then you're gonna flatten out, and then you're holding the cervix. You're gonna feed this gun through the cervix. Once you feel it, the cervix is described like a turkey neck. It's real gristly feeling, it's got ribs in it. This will not just slide through it. You're gonna have to work it through it, work the cervix like that to get the cervix on the gun. So once you get through the cervix with your gun, it's gonna take a bit of finagling. If it's an old big cow, you may just be able to wiggle it right through there. These were not that way. You're gonna have to move the gun, you're gonna have to move the cervix ideally and kind of place it over the gun. And once you get through, if actually you will just get through the end of the cervix and then kind of push it back to where it's just barely at the end of the cervix and dispense your semen, you've got a good chance of breeding that cow, because past this cervix, it splits into the 2 uterine horns, just like this. So if you go into one of those, and that's not the one she's releasing the egg on that month, you're not gonna breed that cow. So if you go back a little bit it's more than likely going to go to whichever one it needs to. I hope that makes sense. I'm just thankful we got through this yesterday. A cow's cycle is about 21 days. So here in a few days, we are going to get them up. We're going to put heat patches on them and see who comes into heat again in 21 days. If they do, they're not bred. At that point, we will put Bruce, our South Pole bull, in. He will be what's called our cleanup bull. He will take care of anyone that did not take. One important last step yesterday, after we AI'd them, they got another shot of what's called GnRH. That is what makes them ovulate. So at the time we put the semen in, they had not even ovulated yet. They did that like later last night or this morning is the way we understand it. And so that's when the actual conception happens. So what we have performed on this video is called fixed timed AI. That means we gave them hormones to sync up all their cycles. Now, that's obviously not going to be 100% effective. So you're not going to get 100% success on breeding these. On top of that, these are all first-time heifers. They may not, there's a possibility they're not even all cycling yet. So with all those factors considered, if we get even 50 to 60% of these to take and carry a pregnancy to term and wind up with a half South Pole, or some of these were half Wagyu, that will be success for this group and for all the circumstances surrounding it. I hope that video made sense to you guys and you can kind of see the process of doing fixed timed AI. And if there's anything we can do to help you, we'd love to. We're very much beginners at this. And after yesterday, what was kind of your thoughts on it?
So I think we overestimated the difficulty in it, putting her out here the first time, especially with a group of heifers. And then if we end up going this route, even on our cows, I think I'm gonna have to go get me some training to kind of give her a break in it.
Yes, that's one thing to consider, is how tired your arm is gonna get. That was something I definitely underestimated. But it is what it is. We made it through. Thankful for good friends and neighbors. And thank you guys for all of you have reached out about our blackleg situation all over our social media here on YouTube. That's an ongoing developing situation. In fact, the next video is gonna be about that. We'll update you all on everything that's taken place since the last video and just try to answer all your questions about that. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Hope you have a wonderful, Merry Christmas.
Thank y'all for watching. Till next time, God bless.